This Legacy Storm deck is fast, powerful, and has no reserve list cards, which means that you can build it for roughly $700. I'm talking about Necrodominance. Let's go check it out. Legacy is such a sweet format where you can do powerful things like win the game on turn 1 in Legacy with backup from Pact of Negation. How this deck works is that you want to play Necrodominance on the first turn, usually off of cards like Cabal Ritual or Dark Ritual, and then you could have Pact of Negation backup. And then on your end step, you'll draw 19 cards using the Necrodominance. You'll use Samine Spirit Guide and Elvish Spirit Guide to then play Manamorphose. From there, you can play Born Upon a Wind, cast more copies of Dark Ritual or Cabal Ritual, and eventually win the game using Tendrils of Agony. What's so exciting about the deck list in front of you today is that it plays no reserve list cards, none. No Lion's Eye Diamonds, City of Traders, none of that stuff. And that makes it really interesting because it's a great budget option for Legacy players that would like to get into the format playing Storm. And I think that it's actually a fairly competitive option as well. Magic Online user Heteraxy has actually had multiple 5-0s since the bannings with this exact deck list, which I think is really interesting. So you can build this deck for about $700. It can go undefeated. It's relatively powerful. And I think one thing that I really enjoy about this deck is that it can beat Mindbreak Trap. So you can just go Dark Ritual, Necrodominance, and get underneath Mindbreak Trap, and then have your Pact of Negation back up for Tendrils of Agony. We like that. And I think that this sort of deck that doesn't use the graveyard, so it gets to dodge all of the hate for Oops All spells, can also gain some additional points in the metagame. So there's a lot of things to like about this deck, including the fact that it gets to play a real sideboard. You get to play 4 copies of your own Mindbreak Traps along with Leyline of the Void, and that way you're better off against the metagame. One concern that I do have is if you caught my last video that you can find in the card above, I was playing 8 main deck protection spells. Heteraxy has gotten rid of that. They're no longer playing Chancellor of the Annex or Unmask, and instead they're playing 4 copies of Beseech the Mirror with 4 copies of Chrome Mox, which means that your deck is more consistent at doing the Necrodominance thing, and you have to mulligan less. We like that. The downside is that in the post-ban world, there's been more blue decks, especially up the Beanstalk strategies. And now you have less protection spells in the main deck to protect your combo, which means that you're more likely to hit a Force of Will. That said, their win rate has been so good, and I'm going to respect their decision here today, and I'm only going to play the 4 main deck Pact of Negation to protect our combo. We do have 4 copies of Duress in the sideboard to bring in versus those pesky blue decks, but I'm just a little nervous about only 4 main deck protection spells. That's my one reservation about this deck list. That said, it's been putting up results, which is ultimately all that matters. And hopefully we get to put up some results today. And if we do, like, comment, subscribe, support the channel, all that great stuff. And without any further ado, I will see you in the first round. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to match number 1. We've opened up a hand that has some black mana, and this could be a keep because we have 4 mana plus Beseech the Mirror. You could Summoner's Pact for a Wild Cantor. That said, we don't have anything to bargain to the Beseech the Mirror, so I believe that this should be a mulligan. Alright, so this hand doesn't do anything. We'll send it back. Going down to 5 cards now. And this is a turn 1 win. So we'll keep, put the Beseech the Mirror on the bottom, and is it better to keep the Lotus Petal or Necrodominance when on the draw? I'm going to say the Lotus Petal, but if we get hit by a turn 1 Thoughtseize, I'm going to feel a little bit silly. Arid Mesa. So this probably tells me they're on Jeskai control. Let's see. Plateau, so Painter. Okay. Guide of Souls, not Painter. In fact, it's just Legacy Energy. Well, I'm glad that I kept the Lotus Petal. We'll play our Vault of Whispers. Let's play the Lotus Petal. And then I'm going to use the Summoner's Pact. We're going to pay this for 0 mana, and I'll search my deck for Elvish Spirit Guide. I will lose the game on my upkeep if we don't pay the 4 mana, but my game plan is to not get that far. So we're now going to go to the end step. I'm going to trigger the Necrodominance, and I'm going to pay 19 life. All right, I am clicking up to 19, and now we'll go to 1 life, and I'll draw 19 cards. Still in the end step. Exile Elvish Spirit Guides, and now I will make a blue. I'll play Born Upon the Wind that allows me to play spells at instant speed. I'll exile another Elvish Spirit Guide. We'll play a Lotus Petal. Play this Chrome Mox. We'll imprint a copy of Beseech the Mirror. And now I can play a copy of Cabal Ritual. Play another copy of Chrome Mox. We'll imprint another copy of Beseech the Mirror. And now I can play Beseech the Mirror with Bargain, sacrifice this Necrodominance, and we'll go grab Tendrils of Agony. So I'll play the Tendrils of Agony, targeting the opponent, and boom, that's how you do it. Mulligan to 5, turn 1 win in Legacy. No reserve list cards needed. Like I said in the deck tech, this deck is super powerful, and you're able to do a lot of broken things. So we like that. That was obviously great. On the draw against a deck with white, you have to worry about Deafening Silence. So we're going to bring in Beseech Who Endures and the Foundation Breaker. You might be wondering, why would you play Foundation Breaker? It's such a weird card, like this 4 mana value creature. Like, why would you play this? Well, you can grab it off of Summoner's Pact. That is why. So you have a way to search it out and then blow up the Deafening Silence. And the fact that Summoner's Pact counts as your spell for Deafening Silence, but Foundation Breaker is a creature, so you can play it underneath the Deafening Silence and then win in the same turn, which is really nice. So now we have to find 3 cards to cut. Pact of Negation is a card we like, just because it means that we don't lose to Mindbreak Trap. I don't know if our opponent is playing Mindbreak Trap today. So I am willing here to board out at least 2 copies of Pact of Negation, and then we have to find 1 more cut. And it might even be the 3rd, but it's going to feel bad if we get hit by a Mindbreak Trap. I'm going to try 3 copies of Pact of Negation. We'll leave 1, because we can win underneath a Mindbreak Trap. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult. Alright, so this is a turn 1 if we draw a mana. I think you're supposed to keep this. Alternatively, it's a guaranteed turn 2 win. They just play Arid Mesa and pass. A Dark Ritual. So that does do it. We'll play the Summoner's Pact. We lose to pretty much anything that our opponent could have that could disrupt me here. We'll grab the Wild Cantor. We'll exile the Simian Spirit Guide. We'll play Wild Cantor. So if they have Mindbreak Trap, we lose. But I'm not going to play around it. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. And now I'll play the Lotus Petal last. And that's because if they have an effect that would destroy Lotus Petal, I don't want to not be able to play my Necrodominance. So that is why I'm choosing to do it like this. And now we'll grab that Necrodominance. We'll play it as spell number 7. A Resolve. We'll attempt to go to our end step now. Alright, the Necrodominance triggers. We'll pick 19 once again. Okay. I am at 1. We'll exile Elvish Spirit Guide. Exile Elvish Spirit Guide. A couple more Spirit Guides over here. Let's play the Summoner's Pact. Do we even have anything? Alright, they've undone their auto yield, so they might have like a lightning bolt or something here, and they're going to try to kill me in response, maybe. Let's play a Manamorphose. We have a bunch of green mana to do so. I'll do blue and black. Play Cabal Ritual using a green mana. And now let's play Born Upon the Wind. They could have a Pyroblast here. I just realized that's a card that they could have for the Born Upon a Wind, but they don't play it if they had it. We'll play another copy of Cabal Ritual. Another copy of Cabal Ritual. Let's play the Chrome Mox. Imprint the World Breaker. And now I will Manamorphose. We'll make red and I don't know. Red. I don't know what the right answer is here. We'll play Dark Ritual. And now I will Beseech the Mirror. We'll bargain away the Necrodominance. And what's nice here is when I put Tendrils of Agony on the stack, I can actually Beseech the Mirror in response to whatever our opponent does here and grab the Pact of Negation. So that was a really fast 2-0 in match number 1. The deck looked extremely good to me. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But for now, we're going to hop on into match number 2. I will see you there. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Round number 2, we are on the play facing Geodude Jared, who tends to play a lot of goblins. I don't know what they're playing today, but goblins is their thing. We have a hand here that doesn't have any action. We'll send it back. All right, well, this has Necrodominance. We have mana, but not mana that puts Necrodominance on the table. So I could mulligan this, or we could keep. My gut tells me to keep. So we're going to bottom the Beseech the Mirror. And this might be a little crazy. I'm going to just play the Veilcut Awakening and pass, rather than play out the Gemstone Mine, because Goblins is a deck with Wasteland. I want to protect my black mana. So if we were to draw a Summoner's Pact, I have the win. It's just, do you need to win the game on turn 1? And it looks like Jared is not playing Goblins today. Instead, it might be Doomsday, another deck that they like. Dark Ritual and Doomsday. Okay. So, unfortunately, we're in a tough spot here. Our opponent has turn 1 Doomsday. Force of Will, Force of Will, Force of Will. So there's one Force of Will either in their hand or on top of their deck. They play a Lotus Petal. Is this just a turn 1 win? Cycle's Edge of Autumn, I believe we're dead. They had a turn 1 win with Doomsday. Brainstorm. And I'm guessing if this was what they had, they already had the Force of Will in their hand, so they opened up a turn 1 win with Force of Will backup. That's incredibly good in Legacy. And now they'll cycle the Street Wraith, discarding the Force of Will, and a Thoughtseize. They play Consider, and Thassa's Oracle. Yeah. That impressive. So they have no library, no hand, no other permanents other than Thassa's Oracle on turn 1. That's just good, clean living. I mean, I didn't get the game win, but still fairly cool. All right, we're going to bring in Duress. The Cyborg Guide from Heteroxy in the Storm Discord, and by Cyborg Guide, I mean they specified exactly one matchup, which is blue decks. They say to board out Chrome Mox. So I'm going to board out Chrome Mox for the 4 Duress. They're the person posting 5-0s every week with this deck, so I'm going to trust their judgment here. I'm a little worried about 4 Beseech the Mirror with just Vault of Whispers and Lotus Petal, but they seem to know what they're doing. I'm going to trust them. And let's see how we do in game number 2 with 4 Duress in addition to Pact of Negation against a spell-based combo deck like Doomsday. Game number 2, we are on the play. So I have Duress. And this is the problem. Beseech the Mirror, you're not allowed to bargain away Lotus Petal. I think we're supposed to mulligan this. We're going to 5. I suppose we'll keep. Get rid of Born Upon a Wind and Veilcut Awakening. I need to draw Vault of Whispers. That is the best card in my deck at the moment. We'll play Duress. They have a Duress, Force of Will, Consider, and Brainstorm. I'm going to take the Duress because we can beat the Force of Will using our Pact of Negation. I just really, really need to draw in 2 Vault of Whispers. They play Underground Sea, Summoner's Pact. So that gets me mana number 4, but I don't have a card to bargain with the Beseech the Mirror. I have to mulligan. And step, they play Consider. They kept the card on top. So withdrawing the Summoner's Pact, Lotus Petal now wins the game for us as well. So I have 8 artifacts that win the game. I could also just draw Necrodominance itself. So 12 cards that I can think of that win. Geodude Jared plays the Brainstorm and then Polluted Delta. Underground Sea and Thoughtseize. Unfortunate. They take the Pact of Negation. Interesting. We draw the Lotus Petal, but now it's late because we don't have the Pact of Negation for the Force of Will. I have to pass. So we have 3 copies of Duress and 3 copies of Pact of Negation that would be good draws. They play a Ponder. So we know about Thassa's Oracle and Force of Will in their hand. All the other cards are unknown. They play Misty Rainforest. Sure. Still 5 cards in hand. for a Bayou. Okay. Preordain. 2 cards on the bottom. Dark Ritual. Doomsday. So if we would like to win this, I have to draw pretty much exactly Pact of Negation. Because if we draw Duress, I don't have the mana to win in 1 turn. And you might be saying, yes, you do. You have 4 mana. But I would still need a bargainable permanent. That's the problem with Beseech the Mirror. I do think that this deck plays a criminally low bargain count, and that's one of the downsides, but there's only so many deck slots. Like, you don't want to play more than 60 cards. That's just a general rule. I know that if you're someone that's a little bit more casual, you're like, 61 is fine, even 62. But if you're trying to be as competitive as possible, 60 cards is what you want. And every card you play in your main deck comes at the cost of another card you could play. So what artifacts are you trying to play other than Lotus Petal and Chrome Mox in this Necrodominance deck? And I think that's the real cost here, because everything else is so crucial. All right, Pact of Negation. It was not Pact. I mean, Duress is not a terrible draw. The problem is that we're dead. So I'll play it, but it's not going to be good enough to save me here. And they actually had double counter spell. Take the Force of Negation. The problem is that, like, I can play Beseech the Mirror, but I don't have anything to bargain. So we have to pass. I needed that to be Pact of Negation. What's funny is if we didn't sideboard this game, I actually had a turn 1 protected win. Because we open-handed Duress, Beseech the Mirror, and Pact of Negation. The thing is that you really need the additional protection against a deck like Doomsday, where they sideboard in 4 copies of Force of Negation. So they actually have 8 Force of Will effects post-board. And you really need the Duress. It's just the way that this game played out, it didn't work in my favor, unfortunately. So we lose match number 2 to Doomsday, a combo killer. I mean, you saw Thoughtseize, Daze, Force of Will, Force of Negation, Duress. It's just a deck that's very good at beating other combo decks, so I'm not surprised that we lost here. But I'm going to hope that we get the remaining 3 rounds, so let's find out if we do. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Time to bounce back in match number 3. We're on the draw. I've opened up a hand that wins the game on turn 1 with Pact of Negation back up. That's what we're here for. Let's see what the opponent's playing today. Polluted Delta. Okay. Another Chrome Mox. We'll play the Vault of Whispers. Exile Elvish Spirit Guide. Cabal Ritual. They're fetching in response. For an Underground Sea. Daze. I'm going to Summoner's Pact in response. We'll grab Elvish Spirit Guide. I will exile the Elvish Spirit Guide, and now I'm going to pay for Daze. Cabal Ritual. And now they Force of Will. I'm going to Pact of Negation the Force of Will. Cabal Ritual. Play the Necrodominance. It resolves. Switch phases. They do have a blue mana floating here. Not anymore. And now we'll trigger the Necrodominance. I will pay 19 life. Exile the Simian Spirit Guide. Exile Elvish Spirit Guide. There's another Summoner's Pact. We did not hit a Born Upon the Wind. I will play the Summoner's Pact. We grab Wild Cantor. That's the only thing left to grab here. So, a little risky that we didn't hit any Born Upon a Wind here. Or Manamorphose, actually. So, I'm going to Valakut Awakening. We'll leave a red mana floating. So the question is, how much of this do I put back? I think I want to keep the Tendrils of Agony and maybe 1 Dark Ritual. I could bottom the other Dark Ritual and just say, hey, there's 3 more in the bottom, which I think might be the right move. So I'm going to keep only the Tendrils of Agony and hope that the rest is good enough to win. Alright, so we have Manamorphose, we have Born Upon the Wind. I need 1 more mana. We actually didn't hit another Simian Spirit Guide. We lose this game. I needed 1 more Simian Spirit Guide to win. Oh, wow. I even bottomed the other Dark Ritual. Did I accidentally keep a Pact of Negation? There's only 2 Simian Spirit Guides in the deck, and we apparently missed them. So I fizzled. Okay, that's disappointing. We almost beat Force of Will Days. I'm going to draw my next card. Was a Lotus Petal. That would not have been good enough. Okay, so I don't know if I accidentally kept an extra Pact of Negation, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. So our deck hit its natural fizzle there. Unfortunate, because we know we almost beat Force of Will Days. Alright, so I'll board out the Chrome Mox as the instructions say, and we'll try it again. Let's try it again. Game 2 on the play. Unfortunate, no payoff with this hand. We will mulligan. Once again, no payoff. We'll go to 5. Am I really supposed to go to 4, or do we keep this? I'm going to go to 4. Okay. We'll bottom Valakut Awakening, Seeming Spirit Guide, and Lotus Petal. So I am looking to draw into Dark Ritual plus 1 other mana. So you might be saying, why not keep Lotus Petal or Seeming Spirit Guide instead of Pact of Negation? Ooh, Wasteland here is brutal. We have more mana in the deck than we do protection, so you would like to keep the thing that you have less of. So we have less interaction, so we want to keep the interaction. They play Underground Sea and Ponder. They did not shuffle on the Ponder. We draw Born Upon a Wind. I have to pass. And they pass after playing a land. Okay. Cabal Ritual, a fine draw here. So Chrome Mox would be a draw I'm really interested in. We don't care about Orcish Bowmasters. That's fine. So you can actually win the game with the Orcish Bowmasters triggers on the stack. The thing that's actually scary about Orcish Bowmasters is that it lowers your life total. So you draw less cards every time it gets to attack. You don't really care about the fact that it triggers when you draw cards. Okay. Oh, no, we boarded out Chrome Mox. That's right. So we drew Elvish Spirit Guide. So now our best draw just became another copy of Vault of Whispers, but we only have 3 of them. All right, so we'll take 2 more. I go to 15. Another Simian Spirit Guide. We have to pass. Okay, so I go to 13 now. And they're discarding a hand-sized Life from the Loam. The Tendrils. I'm not allowed to discard this, unfortunately. So I think I have to discard Born Upon a Wind. I don't think we're getting this game. Our opponent has had so much time to set up here. And even if I resolve Necrodominance, my life total's too low. They play Polluted Delta. They swing, I go to 11. They're now fetching with Polluted Delta. They grab a Tropical Island. 3 mana here. And they're just going to go to cleanup. Oh no, my bad. They didn't have 8 cards because they played a land. Summoner's Pact. So I could, in theory, play Beseech the Mirror, but I don't have a bargainable once again. So I don't know what to do. I think the only way we win this game is if I now discard a Pact of Negation and step the add Sultai colored mana. Or Rakshaka's Bargain. So this is an instant speed, which is crazy stock up, where they look at the top 4, put 2 cards into their hand, the rest to the graveyard. So this resolves. And I'm good to concede here. We're just not going to win. They just got rid of a Beseech Indoors. Their hand is stacked. So I think so far this very fast league, we've seen exactly what my concerns were, which is Beseech the Mirror with low bargain count, and the fact that we don't have protection against blue decks. Like, you have 4 Pact of Negation. I'm just not sure if that's enough. So, not good against blue, insanely good against non-blue. There's still 2 matches left to go. Let's see how those go, and my opinion might change, but that's at least my opinion for now. Let's see how match number 4 goes. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Alright, let's try to bounce back in the 4th match. We are on the play. So we have Beseech the Mirror. We do not have bargainable permanents. We will mulligan. This is a turn 1 win, assuming our opponent doesn't have Force of Will. We will keep bottom the Manamorphose. Okay. So we're going to play turn 1 Gemstone Mine, Chrome Mox, and Cabal Ritual into Necrodominance. And then that will leave us a artifact for the Beseech the Mirror and a black mana. So if I were to draw Dark Ritual, I could try to win next turn, assuming our opponent has a Force of Will. So I'll exile the Simian Spirit Guide, tap for a black mana, we'll play Cabal Ritual, and Necrodominance. It resolves. Okay, I like that. So now we're going to activate, and I have 7 Spirit Guides to win the game with, because we exiled the Simian Spirit Guide already. I'll pay 19. Well, there's 1 Simian Spirit Guide, an Elvish Spirit Guide. We'll play Summoner's Pact. Yes. Grab another Elvish Spirit Guide. Okay. And there's a Manamorphose. We'll play that. We'll make blue and black. Play Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, another copy of Cabal Ritual, and another. Let's play Born Upon a Wind. We'll use a black mana here. That resolved. So now we can play Beseech the Mirror into Tendrils of Agony. Sacrifice the Necrodominance and Tendrils of Agony. Okay. Sweet. I have no idea what they're playing, but, you know. I think that maybe if you don't know what the opponent's playing, we should just resubmit the same configuration, because your deck is already set up to beat the widest variety of decks. So why would you dilute it sideboarding for the unknown? And that's sort of my belief. And I do the same thing with like the Epic Storm, for example. You don't want to change your deck because you don't know if they're playing Prison or Jeskai Control or who knows what. And your main deck is already set up to beat the widest variety of decks, so why would you make a change? So many people play in fear where they're like, oh, I think I'm going to bring in Echoing Truth. It's like, okay, but now you're taking mana out of your deck for a bounce spell that probably doesn't have any good targets against something like Jeskai Control. And I think, yeah, it's going to feel bad if you lose the game to a turn 1 Deafening Silence, but I'd rather just have my deck be as efficient as possible. I think that will lead to the most wins. And I don't really care about feels bads as much as I care about winning. And I'm just looking to always maximize my win percentage. Okay, we're on the draw for game number 2. It looks like our hand has triple Pact of Negation, which is a lot. We're a mana short of being able to cast Beseech the Mirror, and we don't have a bargainable. So I would have to draw Chrome Mox in order to win, or Vault of Whispers. I think you're supposed to just mulligan. I'll get rid of 1 copy of Pact of Negation. So this could be a turn 2 win, depending on what you draw into. Prismatic Vista. I wish I had that other Pact of Negation right now. Cabal Ritual. That was a very good draw. Okay, we'll pass. They use the Prismatic Vista. Basic Island. And now Plains. They have 6 cards in their hand. Lotus Petal. Okay, I believe we're going to try to win the game here. We'll play the Lotus Petal. Play Chrome Mox. Exile Elvish Spirit Guide. Cabal Ritual. Let's try a Beseech the Mirror, bargain away Chrome Mox. They Force of Will, exile Court of Cunning. I will play Pact of Negation. Storm is 6. Beseech the Mirror. We'll grab Necrodominance and cast it. Go to the end step, Necrodominance triggers. Looks like the trigger resolved. Let's go. Pay 19 life. Exile Spirit Guide, and another. Okay, we're not fizzling now. I will play Summoner's Pact. Grab another Elvish Spirit Guide. We'll exile that. We will make a blue, play Born Upon a Wind. Play Lotus Petal. Let's play Manamorphose. We'll make black and red. Dark Ritual, Dark Ritual, Dark Ritual, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Cabal Ritual. Maybe I shouldn't play all these. Let's play a Manamorphose. I'm starting to think, like, what if they have Consign to Memory? Which they should have used on the Necrodominance if they did. But what if they're a crazy person and they try to Consign to Memory my Tendrils of Agony? I want more cards to put on the bottom with Valakut Awakening. And now we'll play the Tendrils of Agony for Storm 19. No Consign to Memory. It looks like they just opened up Force of Will on its own. Well, that was a match win versus a blue deck. We did get a little bit lucky, the fact that they only opened up a single Force of Will in 2 games, but I'll take it. We're now 2-2 with 1 match left to go. The best Legacy podcast? That would be Eternal Glory, featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Koval and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. The final round, we've won a die roll. Let's go. And this is a turn 1 Necrodominance with Pact of Negation backup. We keep those. Our opponent takes a mulligan. We'll play Vault of Whispers, exile the Simian Spirit Guide, Cabal Ritual, and Necrodominance. It resolves, and now we will go to our end step. Trigger the Necrodominance. We'll select the number 19, going down to 1 life. And now I'll exile the Elvish Spirit Guide. We didn't hit a whole lot of mana here. We'll use Summoner's Pact. Grab another Elvish Spirit Guide. We'll play Summoner's Pact. Grab another Elvish Spirit Guide and a third Summoner's Pact to grab the final copy of the Elvish Spirit Guide. Okay, so now we'll exile all 3 of those. 4 green mana floating. I'll play Manamorphose. We'll make blue and black. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. I guess I'm supposed to play a Born Upon the Wind at some point. We draw a Necrodominance. I'll play Chrome Mox. Imprint Necrodominance. And now I can play Beseech the Mirror. I guess I could have bargained away one of my other 2 permanents in play. I didn't need to play out that Chrome Mox. We'll play Beseech the Mirror. And select Tendrils of Agony. Target you. And the opponent concedes. Nice. So that's how we do. Turn 1 wins with backup. Once again, no need to sideboard. We'll just resubmit the same configuration. Game number 2, we've opened up a turn 1 win. No protection, but I don't even know if they're playing blue. So we will keep. Alright, the opponent's taking a mulligan to 5. They're on the play. Let's see what they're playing. Basic Swamp. Thoughtseize. So this is going to take my Necrodominance. If we draw Beseech the Mirror, I still have a turn 1 win because I actually have enough mana to bargain away the Lotus Petal. So we have 7 hits here. Manamorphose. And I'll just pass the turn. Urborg. Okay, so they're on a black deck. I don't need to worry about Force of Will. Pact of Negation. Pass the turn. And step Orcish Bowmasters. And Tomb. Okay. For Gristlebrand. So they're on Reanimator. Shallow Grave. I think I'm good to concede here. Okay, we can go to game number 3. So I don't think that they're a Mindbreak Trap deck. I could be wrong. So I want to leave 1 Pact of Negation just in case, and then I'll bring in Leyline of the Void. I'm going to only bring in 3 when I'm on the play. My fear with boarding out all the Pact of Negations is what if they do have a copy of Mindbreak Trap, and then with only 1 Tendrils of Agony, I can never beat it. So I'm going to sideboard like this, and we'll just try to get game 3. What's nice about Leyline of the Void, though, is it does give me another bargainable for Beseech the Mirror. We have Necrodominance, but this hand is very slow. I think we're supposed to mulligan. We have Leyline. We have Necrodominance. If I can Manamorphose into a black mana, this is a turn 1 win. Is this a keep? I don't know. I think we're going to keep, and I'll bottom the Tendrils of Agony. Put the Leyline into play. So the question is, do you burn your whole hand to risk the Manamorphose on turn 1? Or do you just take a natural draw step? I'm going to be a chicken and pass the turn. Because I think burning my entire hand for a random draw is super risky. They have Basic Swamp. Unmask, exiling Shallow Grave. So there goes my Necrodominance. They have 5 cards in their hand now. Watch, my top card is going to be a black mana. I'm going to feel silly. Alright. Yep. I'm a coward. And step the Entomb into my Leyline of the Void. They chose another copy of Entomb. So they did it intentionally. Just trying to thin their deck of bad cards. They play a Swamp. Thoughtseize. They have 3 cards remaining. They take Elvish Spirit Guide, sure. And now they're going to reanimate it. So their game plan is to beat me down with my own Spirit Guide, which could work. Born Upon a Wind. So I know that Tendrils of Agony is my bottom card of the deck. So we're going to have to draw enough cards where I can win with a Necrodominance while knowing that Tendrils is on the bottom. And every hit from this Elvish Spirit Guide reduces my chances of winning. Pass the turn. I guess if I draw Beseech the Mirror, it shuffles my deck. So that would actually be really good. Beseech the Mirror and Necrodominance are both good draws. I have 7 hits. I'm at 16 life. Summoner's Pact. I will pass the turn. It shuffles the deck, but that doesn't matter here. So this puts me down to 14. Okay. That's Beseech the Mirror. Okay, so how do we want to do this? Exile Elvish Spirit Guide. Exile Elvish Spirit Guide. We will play Wild Cantor. Make a black. I actually have to play the Summoner's Pact. So I only have 4 copies of Simian Spirit Guide left to win with. This is going to be very risky. Exile the Elvish Spirit Guide. Play Cabal Ritual. And now we'll Beseech the Mirror with Bargain, sacrificing Leyline of the Void. I can only draw 13. There's a good chance this isn't good enough. We'll grab Necrodominance, and we'll play it. My Storm count was not high enough to grab Tendrils of Agony. I could have played Manamorphose into Beseech the Mirror Tendrils of Agony, but that wasn't high enough either. So now we'll Necrodominance for 13. Really nervous about this because I need to hit a large clump of Simian Spirit Guides. Well, I hit 2. Okay. Manamorphose. There's a lot of lands in here. I hit a bunch of artifact mana, but I didn't hit things to imprint. What did I draw? Another Valakut Awakening. We'll play the Born Upon a Wind, which draws into a Summoner's Pact. That is a card I can imprint. So now I'll play Chrome Mox and print this Necrodominance. I'm actually a black card short of just grabbing Tendrils of Agony here. I needed a card I could imprint to Tendrils. So I think what I have to do here is Valakut Awakening for 7 and hope that I draw into stuff that allows me to win. So what I could do is, because I need initial mana, is I could keep the Chrome Mox, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea. I have 3 Lotus Petals. I could also only Valakut Awakening for 5 or 4 and hope to hit mana for the Beseech the Mirror. So I could keep Chrome Mox, Beseech the Mirror, Valakut Awakening for 5. Or no, I could Chrome Mox and print the Valakut Awakening. Maybe that's the move. I'm not sure. This is a really tough call here because I am lacking initial mana in my deck. There's only 3 Lotus Petals that does it, so that's why I'm thinking maybe it's just Valakut Awakening for 5. Because Dark Ritual wins, or Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual wins. We'll do 5. Oh no. That was worst case scenario. We fizzled again. There was no mana in there. Okay, we lose. Bummer. Alright, so 2-3. What did I think of the deck list? So, my bad. This is the deck list we played today. So what did I think of the deck list? Beseech the Mirror, I'm not convinced is right. So in front of you, what I accidentally showed you too soon was the deck list I'm going to suggest. But Beseech the Mirror doesn't have the bargainable count to be playable in my opinion. Yes, Heteraxy added 4 copies of Chrome Mox. I'm just not convinced 12 bargainables is enough to be consistent, especially as a turn 1 combo deck. So I would like to go back to the list that plays Serum Powder that allows you to mulligan more aggressively, because we did have mulligans where I had Beseech the Mirror in hand with no bargainable cards. So Serum Powder in that slot would allow you to mulligan digging deeper for the Necrodominance, and you get to play Chancellor of the Annex as another free way to win. So that is what my recommendation is. I mean, the deck list is pretty similar. Something that I really liked, though, was Leyline of the Void as a bargainable out of the sideboard. Yes, this list isn't playing Beseech the Mirror, so that doesn't matter. But a nice feature, if you're someone that is budget conscious about this deck list, is that without Beseech the Mirror and Chrome Mox, this deck list drops by about $250, meaning that you could buy the deck list in front of you for roughly $500. And if you decide to cut Mindbreak Trap and then instead play Leyline of Sanctity, which would have been great in that match number 5, it even gets cheaper because Mindbreak Traps are fairly expensive and Leyline of Sanctities are not. So you could get the deck list down to about $450-ish if you wanted to. And I think, I mean, a less than $500 legacy deck that's competitive is quite good. So it's only a small adjustment that I would like to make here, but I just don't think Beseech the Mirror is consistent enough in this deck list. Yeah, it does allow you to high roll more often, but I think I like the consistency of Serum Powder more. And ultimately, that is what I'm looking for here. So I would suggest the deck list in front of you. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And this list was really fast, and so was this league. My speed run record here on the channel is 23 minutes. I don't know what this video will end up being after editing, but it's going to be close. I would guess that. Let's see if it happens. I have no idea as of right now, but I appreciate all of you watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Keep storming. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested, you can visit theepicstorm.com/donation decks to see your combo deck here on this very YouTube channel. You can even join me in a video in the Epic tier. It's totally worth it, I promise. And see ya. Thanks for watching.